distressed and do not be angry with yourselves for selling me here, because it was to save lives that God sent me ahead of you. Joseph now tries to put things in their best light, providing a positive spin on the flow of events. On the first trip to Egypt, the 10 brothers, Benjamin had not come along, commented among themselves about their abuse of Joseph, and Joseph heard them, although they did not realize it. Joseph knows that his brothers need assurance about what is happening. In one sense, Joseph is simply stating in his own way that what Paul says in Romans 8:28. In all things, God works for the good of those who love him, who have been called according to his purpose. Joseph also cautions his brothers about their reactions towards each other. He knows that through the years they have carried the burden of guilt and remorse for what they did. We find it amazing that they have been able to keep this secret for so long from their father Jacob. 6. For 2 years now there has been famine in the land, and for the next 5 years there was not be plowing and reaping. Joseph continues by placing events on a timeline of sorts. The bottom line is that things will get worse before they get better. The word translated plowing is a noun in the Hebrew, and the noun form is used only 3 times in the Old Testament. Here, plus in Exodus 34:21 and 1 Samuel 8:12. The verbal root means to cut, to inscribe, or to engrave. Therefore, the translation plowing, that is, cutting into the ground, captures the idea nicely. But God sent me ahead of you to preserve you from a remnant on earth and to save your lives by a great deliverance. Joseph explains why and how the various events of the past are being used by God. They have 2 purposes. They are stated in reverse chronological order. The ultimate purpose, stated first, is to guarantee that there will be a future generation in this family that are descended from Abraham. The words indicated that there will be difficult times ahead, but not a total destruction. The transition of Egypt by Jacob and his family is the beginning of the fulfillment of the prophecy made to Abraham that his people are to be enslaved in a foreign land for 40 years, as found in Genesis 15:13. Exodus 12 and 40 and 41 states that the total time in Egypt is 430 years. Thus, the prediction of a 400-year enslavement is a round number. Compare Acts 7:6 and Galatians 3:17. But for the 400-year prophecy to happen, the lives of the current generation must be saved by a great deliverance. Combining Genesis 41 and 46 with 45 and 6, we calculate Joseph's age to be about 39 at this point. This means that the year is about 1877 BC. Their father Jacob is now 130 years. Grandfather Isaac had been dead for about 10 years, and the great-grandfather Abraham has been dead 115 years. God made the initial promise to Abraham at age 75, so the promise itself is about 215 years old at this point. The entire family will move to the foreign land shortly, and the slavery will develop later.
Okay, I want to stop you there. Look, we're talking about a family, right? Joseph, his brothers, they come to Egypt. They want to buy food because it's a famine going on. So now, in our time, they're saying that the economy, and see, this is where God says for us, this people, to put our trust in him.
He therefore has the authority to make provisions for his family. Whatever Joseph decides will be accomplished. All by myself. Question. All by myself? Claiming credit is a common thing to do. Think of the strutting, look at me, end zone display of a football player who has just scored a touchdown. He acts as if he did it without anyone else's help. When a business prospers, a savvy CEO may get the credit, but what about all the help from the dedicated employees throughout the organization? Even in the realm of individual sports, the record-setting athletes owes much of the success to coaches, trainers, and the gift of athletic prowess that God has granted. Even at a human level, Joseph's rise to success in Egypt owed much to the servant who had testified to Pharaoh about Joseph's divine gift of interpreting dreams. However, Joseph wisely recognized the primary source of his success was God's providential direction of his life. Joseph is unwavering in this regard. Are we? Are we?
Conclusion. Well, can you read the power of forgiveness story, and then
The power of forgiveness. 3 cathedrals have been built in Coventry, England. The first dates back to the 12th century. The current one is built on the ruins of the second, which was destroyed by Nazi firebombs on the nights of November 14, 1940. Dick Howard, the cathedral's provost at the time of its destruction, vowed that its rebuilding would not be an act of defiance. As one enters a new cathedral through the ruins of the old, one's eyes are drawn to the words, "Father, forgive," on the wall. The words "never forget" are something similar could have been used instead, but that alternative would have served to keep open the wounds of that terrible night. Thus, those who designed the rebuilt sanctuary decided to use Jesus' words from the cross. Joseph's family reunion could not have taken place as it did had it not been for the fact that he found the power to forgive his brothers.
Amen.
Recognizing how God has forgiven us is a key to being able to forgive others in return.
Amen.
Conclusion. A lesson from Joseph. The narrative about Joseph and the dramatic reversals in his life can be used to teach abiding life lessons about changes, choices, and forgiveness. Changes. Joseph's life was full of extraordinary changes. He went from being his father's favorite to being sold as a slave. His life changed in the house of a Potiphar from that of a servant to that of a supervisor. He had a similar experience in the prison where Potiphar placed him. The most outstanding change in his position was going from the prison to becoming the prime minister of Egypt. Joseph knew how to adjust and make the most of changes. That's a beautiful thing. Choices. The regular temptations by Potiphar's wife did not weaken Joseph, but they seemed to make him stronger and more determined to avoid what he knew to be sin. Joseph chose righteousness rather than suffering the remorse that would surely have followed. He did not rationalize why he should sin against God. Amen. Joseph chose God's way. Joseph chose God's way and thus became an example for us. Forgiveness. Joseph is an excellent example of forgiving others. His life is in harmony with what Jesus taught in the Sermon on the Mount. And again, when he encouraged extending forgiveness to what seems to be an impossible degree. It is never stated, but Joseph also probably forgave Potiphar for doing what he did, imprisoned Joseph. Amen.
God bless you. Be steadfast. Unmovable.
truth.
Amen.
Those who continue to hold on, as the teacher said at the beginning, the word. It's the word that make you hold on. Knowing the word, keeping the word, searching the word, not giving up on the word. But the word is the only thing we have to hold on to. We know how to be remnants. You have to learn how to be a remnant. You have to understand what a remnant is, as the teacher explained what a remnant was. A remnant is somebody very special that know that they're going to be blessed if they hold on. If you hold on, you know you're going to be blessed. In these times of going through financial difficulty, going through situation with your family and your children and things, you have to put God first. To become a remnant, you have to depend on Him. You have to know the situation. Well, a job well done, teacher. You asked that question, you sound like me earlier, where how do Joseph do these things? And how does his brother understand these things? How? What we go through? Well, you read something, I need you to read it again, but I wrote it down. You said that a remnant, preservant was God holding on.
Being used for God's special use.
Yeah. Keeping us. You say He's keeping us. That's when you understand things, when you know God is keeping you. You know He's going to keep you no matter what you go through. There's no ifs, ands, and buts about it. Nobody can change me because I believe in Jesus Christ. If I believe in Jesus Christ, I don't care what I go through. I know that I can trust in Him. I do not have to think about what somebody else is going to say. When I got my trust in Him, I'm going to stay there. You can't move me. Steadfast, unmovable. You will not be able to move me because I believe and trust in Jesus Christ. His son. His son. His son. Joseph and Mary had a son. And it never said to Joseph that was Joseph's son. It said that Mary and Joseph was what? Engaged, right? Whose son was he? He was God's son. Who came to do what? There you go. This come to save his people from what? His people. Didn't he say his people? That's what you would have said. His people. His people. His people. Who is his people? Those who believe in Jesus Christ. Saved from their sin. And when I read that, it kept saying, his people. The remnant. Honesty. Justice. Holiness. Thank you, teacher. I had said enough because I'm thankful for just wanting to be a remnant. Being a remnant is something special. And like the pastor said this morning, he encouraged me that you don't have to worry about sometimes, you that one get away, the 99 and the one, that's a good illustration. Understand that you're still a remnant. Thank you for that, because I needed that. I've been feeling kind of, like shaky sometimes. But I understand what you're saying. Sometimes you have to leave the 99 just to go get that one. You got to do it. Because you don't forget about the 99. So thank you. That was for me this morning. That was Sister Robinson.
I also think and believe that God's words are true.
Are true?
Are true.
Yes,
Because when you read His word, came down in the form of man. The story goes even a little bit deeper for me, because as the story transgresses, it was him already bringing himself incarnate. We didn't know that at the time. We couldn't, our brains couldn't get that.
400 years later.
Right. At that particular time, he couldn't give us the whole story at one time. He had to break it down for us in a spread, so we could get the feel about. Even though it was God's son that came in, it was actually God Himself who came down, so He could save His people.
Thank you, Lord.
So we have to, see it for what it is, and how that revelation later on, and when we get that as a people of today, it's a powerful thing, and to know and to even bank on His word being what it is. We got power from on high. We gotta use it. We gotta feel it. We got to believe it. 'Cause that's that keeping power. To know it. That God alone, His word stands, and it's true. And He's nothing but the best for us. The best.
If He don't want none but the best.
But the best.
And what is the best? Whatever He gives us,
Whatever
we
it is.
understand it is the
Exactly.
best. And that's what He gave to Joseph. He gave him the best.
And
It
our
wasn't an
best.
easy job for him to be, Joseph to do. And teacher said that this morning. It wasn't easy for Joseph. It wasn't nothing easy. You have to look at a 17-year-old boy who went through all that and became a 30-year-old man to understand what was he going through.
But my best, what I think is my best, is not my best. Because He would say no to me sometimes. I'm like, hey, but God's best. Right?
God's
Remember,
best.
God's best.
He
Even
let
in
the
Joseph,
simple
right, He's
let the
still
simple
praising God. He said,
know
I'm here.
what the best
I,
is.
rationalize. This is what it says. He didn't rationalize. What did He say? That He didn't rationalize about what not to do. He just went on and did what God said to do. Without any wavering. Unwavering. Amen? Amen.
So we thank God for preserving and ripping. Pastor, final words.
Wonderful lesson. You Lord. Wonderful, wonderful lesson.
Prayer in your lesson.
God in heaven, it is my resolve that this day to be even more faithful, to be fervent in serving, and to find joy in forgiving family, friends, and even enemies. Help me to imitate the forgiveness that you provided for me. In Jesus' name, amen.
Thought to remember is nice and simple, right?
All things work together for the good to those who love God. Amen.
Amen, amen. Good lesson, good lesson, good lesson.
Amen.
Joseph.
God deserves it all.
Symbolic of Jesus. You know, when we look at these things in these scriptures, we have no excuse when we come before God. We have absolutely no excuse. Amen? You can look. When I was a little boy, that was one of my favorite stories. I had a story Bible, a picture story Bible when I was a little boy. And I would read that Bible with all those pictures by Joseph and everything. And that used to be one of my favorite stories.
That is my favorite story.
Didn't understand then like I do now, didn't know what it was all about. But the humility of Joseph and the faith in God, it could not have been self-made. The faith that he had in God, the characteristics of his life, the integrity of his life, had to be shaped, formed, and set up by God. That was body was just a house. That God to demonstrate and put what he wanted to put in it to get his work done, get his work, get his program on. But the credit that goes to Joseph, he had the privilege to allow God to work through him or to reject God. He chose. He chose to give God his body and says, okay, use it. You can have my body. You can have this instrument. You can have it. Use it for what you want. And God used it tremendously. And we have the same privilege today. We have the same privilege today to say, God, I don't have the ability. I don't know what to do and how to do and when and nothing like that. But here's my body. Such as I have, I give it to you. Here's me. If you fix me, strengthen me, prepare me, then I will follow you. I will walk in the way that you will lead me. And we find David, we find Solomon praying that kind of prayer to God. Solomon said, God, you have chosen me instead of my father. I'm just a child and I can't do this. I can't do this. God said to him, now, put it in my own words, I said it this way. God looked at his response and God says, there's a willing heart. There's an instrument. There's something I can work with. There's something I can use. And God said to him, don't say you're a little child and don't say what you can't do. And then God began to make his promise. He said, now, you say you can't do it, and you're just a little child. But God said, ask me what you will. Ask me for what you want. Ask me what you will. And Solomon said to him, just give me wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, that I may judge right between your people. I see that principle. I see that same thing in Joseph. Joseph had the oppositions of his brothers and all in different places, starting off in his own household. He had the opposition. But he didn't waver. He didn't waver. He had his heart, his mind set on whatever is right, that's what he followed. Whatever is right, whether I get applause for it or not, I'm going to follow what is right. Whether I get exhortation or whether I get praises or whatever I get, I am going to do what is right. And that was his determination, to do what is right. And when father's wife grabbed him, tried to persuade him, what did he say? Your husband have trusted me with everything. Your husband have confidence in me. He'll place me over everything, even over you. Can I deceive my master?
Amen.
Dedication. Commitment. Can I deceive my master? But tell me, if we don't learn to have that respect for those that's over us, if we can't esteem them among everybody, if we can't esteem, if I can't esteem you and you and you among anybody I have opportunity to, how can I esteem God? How can I expect God's favor in my life? See, the enemy is so shrewd. He want to make me think that I'm esteeming flesh. And I'm putting flesh up. I'm making God, I'm trying to make God out of the people. That's a deception of the enemy. But in order to do for God, I so much about that study. One day, maybe the Holy Spirit will lead you to teach it or not. But I'm just thankful for this lesson. What did the topic of it? Remedy. And all through your Bible, every remedy that you sing, they were at least concerned about what themselves. They focus, their dedication, their commitment, their struggle was passion for the work of the ministry. God bless you.